So today's topic is what makes Prince2 Agile version 2 a smarter upgrade for busy project managers. I'm Shraddha, your host for today, and thank you for taking the time to join us on this session. Now, managing projects today is not easy. Like you have got the structure on one side and the agility on the other, and somehow everyone expects you to balance the both things. So that's exactly why Prince2 Agile version 2 it's such a hot topic right now, and let's see how it helps you balance the both. So before we begin, tell me in the Q&A box, what is your biggest struggle when it comes to managing projects in the agile setup? I'll be waiting for your questions or your answers to the question till you drop that in. Quick intro about Knowlathon. So, at Knowlathon, we help professionals like you upskill with certifications that actually matter, like Prince2, PMP, ITL, ISO standards, you name it, and we help you get certified with it. And we have been lucky to train more than 50,000 plus learners worldwide. Now the main part, you are let's move to the main part why you're here. Our speaker tonight is not just about the project management expert. He has been actually been the part of Prince2 Agile V2 framework while it was being designed and tested. As a people search Prince2 ambassador, he has been directly involved in shaping how this version works in the real world. With nearly 20 years of project management experience and over 7 years dedicated to training professionals, he brings both hands on expertise and insider perspective. So, you are in for the session straight from someone who has been there right from the start. Please welcome Mr. Anand Kulkarni. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Shraddha. Thanks for your kind words and good evening, everyone. So, what are we going to cover today? What's the agenda? I believe all of you have already received that or seen that on the registration page, but I will still repeat that one more time. We are going to see a quick overview of Prince2 Agile V2. What does it cover? It's possible you might be coming across this for the first time. It's possible that you have already come across Prince2 Agile V1. So in both the cases, this will help in getting familiar with what the V2 covers exactly. Hmm? What new is there as well as what is there in general in Prince2 Agile. Then core concepts refresher is going to be there. Core concepts of Prince2 as well as how those are used along with Agile, alongside Agile. What's new in Prince2 Agile, specifically the addition part compared to Prince2 Agile V1. Then use cases, practical applications, scenarios used there in the book as well as how Prince2 Agile is being actually implemented. And then we have certification path and the resources that are available. We will cover those as well. And finally, we will have question and answer session at the end. Okay. So that is going to be our agenda for the next 60 minutes roughly. Hmm. So let's start with the basics. What is Prince2 Agile V2? Now, before I speak about this, let me speak about what Prince2 Agile is in general. So, couple of years back, or to be precise, a decade back, uh, Axelos felt the need that there needs to be a dedicated certification for uh, professionals who want to combine the Prince2 concepts with Agile or Agile concepts with Prince2. And that is where, after a lot of industry consultation, they came up with Prince2 Agile. And Prince2 Agile was obviously based on the Prince2 as the name itself says, but it also covered couple of other concepts or frameworks, agile concepts or frameworks, which can be used alongside Prince2. Or if you are an organization, you are a team which is already using agile, you are already using Kanban, you are already using Scrum, you are already using generic agile or couple of concepts from agile, then you can use Prince2, you can benefit from Prince2. So that way, that was the idea of introducing Prince2 Agile. and it has been in used extensively across the globe, in public sector as well as private sector, helping organizations deliver projects of different scale and size and type and so on. There is one more important difference that we need to understand about Prince2 Agile. Uh, the impression is that the Agile is generally used or primarily used or sometimes only used in software development. Now, this was true at the beginning of all of this, somewhere around 2001, 2000, when they came up with Agile Manifesto. But later, these concepts have been used or are being used in various industries, not limited to software development. Now, that is where the Prince2 Agile made a difference. So, Prince2 Agile is for all sorts of industries or all sectors, all types of projects, all sizes of projects, not just software development. So, those software development concepts are definitely introduced in here, combined in here, but it is not exclusive to software development. You can be manufacturing a product, you can be developing an application, you can be uh, coming up with a physical product, an engineering product, and still you can use Prince2 Agile. There are many reasons behind that, but just to quickly explain the thinking behind this is that the overall life cycle uh, of projects or the rate at which the changes are happening is very high, and it is need of the hour that you have to come up with a product pretty quickly. So we have the concept MVP, minimum viable product, and so on. So there we take those concepts and then we try to use it in different scenarios. So that is how the Prince2 Agile was introduced to address this particular need. And the core body of knowledge of Prince2 Agile was, we have the Prince2 concepts. If you are coming across this for the first time, it has four main elements, and those elements are seven principles, seven practices, which was earlier called themes, and seven processes. Seven principles are the guiding principles. Seven practices cover main areas of the project management. For example, plans is a practice. We have business case as a practice, organizing as a practice, and so on. And then we have seven processes which cover the life cycle of the project. That is how the structure of the Prince2 is. Now, in Prince2 Agile, we have agile concepts, agile frameworks, and agile techniques that we can use with Prince2 concepts. There is no hard and fast rule that this is 70% Prince2 and 30% Agile, or this is 30% Prince2 and 70% Agile. It's a choice of the people who are trying to implement that or use that Prince2 Agile in their environment. So, if their environment is, for example, a very regulated environment for something like an airline industry, you are working on a project in airline industry, but still you want to benefit from all of this. Now, this is a relatively more restricted environment, and you may not have the kind of freedom you may have in some other industries. So there you may have or you may use agile concepts, maybe a bit less than others, but you may still be able to use or benefit from those concepts. Not only that, agile is an umbrella. And if you go through the book, you will find that there is an entire table listing down all the agile frameworks that are prevalent, that are popular, used in different industries, different organizations, and so on. Does it mean that Prince2 Agile covers all these? The answer is no. So Prince2 Agile, the earlier version as well as the current version, focuses on few major or few popular Agile frameworks, concepts, and techniques. Hmm? So the popular frameworks that we already have is Scrum is one of the most popular framework. There is also this misconception that Agile means Scrum. Now, this statement is not exactly correct. While Scrum is agile, which is true, there are other frameworks in agile as well. So you may include Kanban, you may include Lean Startup, you may include Startup, Extreme Programming, XP, DSDM, and so on. So the frameworks that have been included are Scrum, Agile, Scrum, Kanban, and Lean Startup. Does it mean that you can't use other frameworks? Again, the answer is no. It is up to the organizations, or it is up to the team to decide that how they are going to adopt this in their particular concept. But the standard guidance we have covers these three. So that is one part. Agile concepts and agile techniques. Now there are certain concepts and techniques that are generically associated only with agile. So those major concepts have been taken, and then the guidance on how to use those techniques along with the Prince2 guidance is there, and there is extensive description of all of these. So both what that particular concept means, and what how that concept can be used in isolation, in on a standalone basis, and then how can we use that in a particular project, and what are the necessary adaptations. I won't use the word modification because we are not going to modifying the technique itself. So what are the necessary adaptations uh, that we need to think of? Uh, those are covered as part of Prince2 Agile. Okay. So depending on our organization type, size, family rate of the people with Agile concepts or Prince2 concepts, we can cover all of it, and then we may arrive, or we should arrive at the something that is acceptable and more relevant in our organization. So this is not one size fits all solution. This is something we need to take it and understand it from our organization's perspective, and then we should decide how to implement that. Now, if you are already familiar with Prince2 as a framework, if you have ever heard of it, there is one very important concept here, uh, which is tailoring. Now, Prince2 tailoring essentially means that, remember, this is not modification. We are not modifying the framework itself. We are tailoring the framework to suit our needs. Now, suit our needs means there could be a project with 5 people. There could be a project with maybe 50 people. There could be a project of maybe a couple of lakhs, or if you think of I mean in USD it could be a couple of $1,000. So from there too you could have projects covering, I mean, having budgets of millions of dollars. These projects need different management techniques, different formality, different documentation, a different level of documentation, different level of governance, and so on. So this is where we are going to adapt the Prince2 to that size. Depending on the size, we will increase or decrease the bureaucracy, the documentations, and so on. And this is part of tailoring, which is part of the Prince2 manual itself, Prince2 Agile manual as well. Okay, so this is something that is there in Prince2 Agile, earlier version as well as the newer version. Hmm. We'll see what is the additional thing in the V2. Now, what has happened? The Prince2 Agile is designed to be adaptable to enable the implementation of any project with all types of delivery methods, regardless of the project's purpose, scale, type, organization, geography, or culture. And these are some major factors that have been listed, not necessarily again all the factors that we know. You can be working with an automobile manufacturer and designing the new car to be run on battery, maybe for hundreds of hours or hundreds of kilometers if you want. You may be working with a software organization, a core software organization providing services to some client, or you may be part of an organization, part of a bank, for example, coming up with the next technology, next evolution in payment systems. Possible, all of this. So can we use Prince2 in all these scenario? The answer is yes. Important part, we need to tailor Prince2 to suit that particular need. And that is where this project's purpose, scale, type, or geography, culture will come into picture. Hmm? Uh, Delivery methods that are mentioned here, as well as in Prince2 Agile. Prince2 Agile V2 specifically mentions, sorry, Prince2 7, which is the latest version that has been launched recently, 2 years back, that has three delivery methods. So the three delivery methods are standard, run-of-the-mill method, what we used to call as waterfall method, uh, sequential method as we can call it. The next one is hybrid method, and third one is iterative incremental method. So Prince2 Agile is more on the second and the third side. We have uh, iterative incremental method, that is purely agile we can say, and then hybrid method as well, where part of the project is agile and part of the project is being managed in a different conventional sort of way. So those are the different delivery methods that are prevalent. And again, this is about grade. This is not about clear boundary lines that we can say, okay, this is exactly the hybrid. And if there is only 1 degree deviation, we cannot say that, right? This is always about the degree of use of agile in that organization. Of course, there are many more factors that will come into picture here. Hmm. Then, why the update? So what has happened over a period of time is, see, I said this was launched 10 years back. Prince2 Agile was launched 10 years back. One refresher came um, in 2017, 18. But when Axelos talked to all the professionals in the industry, the feedback was, or what they found was, Agile, though everybody says we are using Agile, are they actually benefiting from that Agile or not? The answer was loud no. Do they want? Of course, do they want? They want it. So that's where the Prince2 Agile came into. Prince2 Agile's refresher started taking uh, life, if we can say that. So they consulted with the industry, identified the common challenges. Uh, as you can see, difficulties in successfully implementing Agile. Many times, organizations purely uh, speak Agile, but they don't actually use Agile. They do Agile, but they don't be Agile. So that is one major thing. Unmet expectations for innovation. So even though uh, Agile is used, the rate of change, or the rate of change at which new products are launched, new services are launched, that is not according to the expectations of the business. So that is another challenge. And then failure to deliver the value initially envisioned. Many organizations struggled in realizing the value. What was forecasted earlier at the beginning of the project, at the beginning of the session, and what was actually delivered, there is a huge gap on those fronts. So that is where the Prince2 Agile V2 started taking shape, and industry consultations were done, common challenges were identified, what are the successful practices that were identified, can we actually replicate those successful practices in uh, other industries, and so on. That was validated, or that was debated, that was discussed, and that is where the Prince2 Agile V2 formally, that was Prince2 Agile V2 was formally launched a few months back. Hmm. Now, what are the core concepts? Hmm. Sorry. Now, what is the new thing? What are the new challenges that have been addressed in this? Emphasizing the importance of agile mindset to help define outcomes and aligning these to the overall objectives to enable successful implementation. Emphasizing the importance of the agile mindset is, as we saw, one of the challenges was that using agile terminology, using agile speak, if you have read the 1984, using agile speak is a common thing, but not actually using agile or being agile. So that is where Prince2 Agile explains in detail that doing agile is not enough. We have to be agile. We have to have the agile mindset, and that is where a new concept has been introduced in Prince2 Agile V2, which is Agile Onion. So it starts with principles, practices, processes, and then the ultimate layer of this is agile mindset. So that agile mindset has to be there at every level, not just at the managers level, project managers level, or team managers level, or um, an individual team members level. No, it has to be there at every level, including the decision makers. They are also part of it. Then to help define outcomes, clarity on what exactly are we expecting from this project and how can we achieve that using agile is important part. Hmm? So to help define outcomes, then aligning these to overall objectives to enable successful implementation. This version emphasizes a lot more on application of Prince2 Agile. The we have guidance in every chapter that application of Prince2 Agile, application of Prince2 Agile, application of plans, application of business case, application of risk, and so on. So this is very important that we understand each practice, each section of it, each document, that how can we use this in our context. Does it benefit us the way it is? Do we need to modify it? Do we need to change it? To what extent? What is our environment? What is our environment conducive to changes? Are there things that are already present in our environment, and so on? And then we should go ahead and implement that in our environment. What happens is this increases the chances of successful implementation, benefiting the organization in not just one particular project or the first project, but repeatedly in subsequent projects. And you can actually have a template of the project management itself, not just the document, but the whole project management that can be reused for different types of projects, projects of different types, sizes, methods, and so on. Hmm? Now, what are the differences, or what is specifically new with the new version Agile, Prince2 Agile V2? So terminology and alignment with modern agile practices has been updated. So initially, as I said, Scrum, Lean Startup, and Kanban were the main frameworks that were used in the earlier version. But now we have more than that. The terminology has been simplified to map agile concepts, agile roles with Prince2 roles. Extensive guidance has been given. So if there is some confusion that how can we use this, or does it fit our scenario, we can always refer the Prince2 manual for that. So there is extensive guidance on that. Then simplification of the guidance has been done. One specific thing that is there is in the new version, there are four different scenarios, four different organizations which have undertaken a project. Those organizations and their details have been given in the manual. And one very specific thing that has been done in this particular version is that this was a concept, this was a demand earlier, a request, a complaint as well, you can say, where how to use this when I'm actually going to implement a project. And the example of the templates was not there in the earlier version. But now in Prince2 Agile V2, we have a template, every single template, example of every single template, that how it has been used or how it can be used in a given scenario. So that acts as an anchor, that acts as a starting point for us to implement it in the real life, in our project implementation. Then improved tailoring guidance. Improved tailoring guidance, as I said, in every practice, in every process, extensive tailoring guidance has been given that if this is the environment, what you can do, if this is the scenario, what you can do, what are some bare minimum things that you should do to benefit from all of this. And there is very detailed guidance on that part. So we can refer to that particular section whenever if we are struggling in implementation, and it will help us a great deal. Hmm? New roles or responsibilities have been included in this. So earlier in organizing practice, Scrum's role, basically the Scrum Master was covered. Okay, and couple of other roles were suggested. But in the newer version of Prince2 Agile, there are more roles that have been introduced, as well as there is the detailed guidance on what is the responsibility of each role. So there is more clarity on that. Of course, you it does not mean that you have to have one person for each role. That of course depends on how big the project is, and how, I mean, to what extent it makes sense to have an individual for each role. So that is always part of tailoring. But there are more roles, and we can learn from it. We can draw from those roles and decide how are we going to use those roles in our particular project. Then enhanced focused on delivery and flow for a simplification. There is one more thing that has been introduced in Prince2 Agile V2, and which is in Prince2 Agile V2, there is a guidance to use Agile even in BAU. So earlier, the Prince2 Agile V1 primarily focused on managing the projects, whereas in V2, uh, there is a guidance, again, not extensive, of course, but there is guidance on how to use Agile in our BAU, business as usual. Once the project is completed and handed over to the BAU part, then how can they use the Agile? That guidance is included in Prince2 Agile V2. That is a very significant change in the newer version. Okay, this was missing earlier. Hmm. Now, when to use Prince2 Agile? So, when to use Prince2 Agile V2 is, there are three different scenarios or three different cases I can think of. And of course, they are mentioned in the book, where we can benefit directly from Prince2 Agile. So one scenario is where we have an organization which is already familiar with Prince2, and they are already benefiting from Prince2's structure, principles, processes, everything. But they also want to benefit from agile concepts, agile techniques, agile methods, and so on. So there, uh, this such teams can, or organizations, if it's at the organization level. So the teams or organizations can adopt the newer version of Prince2 Agile, and they can benefit from the agile guidance. So they will be able to do things faster. They will be able to take decisions faster about going ahead with a particular user story, not going ahead with a particular user story, product backlogs, and so on. So these concepts are not there in what I can call as vanilla Prince2. So these organizations can benefit from that. The other end of the spectrum is organizations which are already using Agile. They are mature in using that. They know how to use everything. They know Sprint, they know Scrum, they know Stand Up, they know retrospective, and so on. But the team size is increasing, or maybe there are more than one team working on a single project. They have to interact a lot with other organizations, other entities within their organizations, departments, who are not using Agile, and hence they want to have some sort of formal old school project management structure, governance structure. So that is where those organizations or teams can benefit the knowledge of Prince2. So they already know how to use Agile, but they will be able to see how the project manager works, how the business case works, how the stakeholder management works, how organizing works, how risk management works, and so on. So these are the primary scenarios that we have where organizations can benefit. The third type of organization is, or third scenario is, the organization is not familiar with any Prince2 or Agile, but they undertake projects regularly. Now, in such a scenario, they want to introduce a formal structure for the project management and benefit from it. So those organizations can also choose Prince2 Agile. Again, there could be use of Agile in implementation of Prince2 Agile itself. So where we can start with something simple, and then gradually as we progress and the organization becomes mature, we can increase the use of Prince2 there. Okay. So, three models, as I mentioned, hybrid delivery models are there. We have iterative incremental model, hybrid model, and linear sequential model. Hmm. So those are the models that are already prevalent, and we can benefit from those models. Hmm. In practical application. Practical application, there is one more thing about practical application. This is a standard question in trainings that I get is, has Prince2 Agile been used in real life? So the answer to that question is a big yes. That Prince2 and Prince2 Agile is being used a lot uh, in many organizations. Uh, just for the sake, I mean, for the sake of curiosity, if you search for uh, New Zealand or Australian state governments, and they have IT dashboards there. Now, they have done it for IT, but there are other examples as well. So there, if you go there and look at their dashboard, project dashboard, you will be able to see how they have used the Prince2 Agile in different types of projects. So what the project is, what is the purpose of that particular project, and what is the budget of that project. All of this information is available in public domain, so we can verify how many projects are being run using Prince2 Agile. So that's a good piece of information, a real life implication application of Prince2 Agile and the benefits from it. So you can also see the success rate of those projects, whether they are on time, they are behind the schedule. All this information is available in public domain. Nothing special or hidden about it. Hmm. And those are, of course, public sector projects. So a lot of information is already available in the public domain in those cases. Then certification path and resources. Now, in Prince2 Agile V2, we have two levels. Just like in Prince2, we have foundation and practitioner. In Prince2 Agile V2 also, we have foundation and practitioner levels. Hmm. In uh, foundation level, the exam structure has changed a little bit in foundation and practitioner both. Okay. So this newer version we have additionally, apart from this foundation and practitioner structures, foundation exam, if you have given other exams, for example, if you already have Prince2 foundation certificate, Prince2 practitioner certificate, PMP certificate, there is a list of certificates which can be considered, which are considered as uh, successful, I mean, as prerequisite. So there is a list of prerequisites. If you have completed any of those certificates, you can go for the practitioner directly. That option is also available. But the basic levels are foundation and practitioner levels. Those are the two levels that we have in the Prince2 Agile V2. This is pretty much similar to the other mechanisms that we have. Okay. So uh, study resources and next steps. Now, as you might be aware, all the people cert exams are proctor-based exams, and you get a voucher, you get an what do you call voucher code, and once you redeem it, you get the manual, access to the manual, you get access to the study material. There is official study material, there is Knowlathon study material, uh, there are a lot of question banks available. So all of this is part of study material or resources that you can use to prepare for the exams. Once you are again, you can first start with the foundation, start with the terminology, basics, and then go for the once you clear the foundation, then you can go for the practitioner. So a lot of material is available. Practitioner exam is an open book exam. So foundation exam is a closed book exam, practitioner exam is an open book exam. We can we are officially allowed, the candidates are officially allowed to uh, use the book in the exam. So there is an option to use that book in the exam interface itself. So you can, of course, browse that book, access that book, and uh, use it. I mean, to answer the questions. Okay. So those are the basics. Shraddha, do we have any
Yes.
questions?
Yes. Everyone, you can ask your questions in the Q&A box. We'll get answers to your all the queries related to Prince2 Agile V2. We will wait for 2 minutes for them to drop the questions. After the Q&A session, we have announcement. So drop
Sure.
your questions. I guess there are no doubts. Everything is clear to them.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so you can, attendees, you can still ask the questions till we close the call. So before, let's move ahead. So we have build up, or we want to share something special we have put together just for attendees of this webinar. Normally, Prince2 Foundation and Practitioner plus Prince2 Agile Practitioner version 2 package costs 1 lakh, about 1 lakh 2000 plus taxes. But for you, as part of this session, we are offering it at just 70,000 plus taxes. So that's almost 30,000 plus benefits. So along with it, it's accredited training, official exams, globally recognized certifications, which all bundled together at the lowest prices we have ever offered. So don't miss this chance. I'm sharing the link to know more about it and register. Also, I'm sharing the contact details in the Q&A box. You can find it there and contact us directly, or otherwise go to the website, go to the link I have provided and register there. Don't miss this chance to save on your money as well as upgrade yourself. uh, if you have been waiting to upskill, this is the best time. Also, uh, of course, you can stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube for free resources, exam tips, future webinar invites, and everything. So I'm sharing our social links also. Do check it out. If you have any queries about the offer, also you can ask. I'll wait for 2 more minutes, and then we can close the call. So if you have any queries regarding the offer also, you can ask in Q&A box, or anything related to session, you can ask that too.